Welcome. It's time. It's time to drop in, open up, and receive. It's time to remember. It's time to believe. Let's elicit the beautiful, the good, and the true. It's time for me. It's time for you. Hello, and welcome back to It's Time with Jillian Melissa. I am so excited, you guys. I'm crawling out of my skin. I have one of my favorite humans on planet Earth here with us today, the extraordinary Diane Young-Sussman. I have known Diane, I guess, since I was in middle school. I was trying to think how old I was. You'll probably remember better than I do. But Diane is a life coach, a hands-on healer, an Alexander technique teacher. She's an author. She's extraordinary, multiple decades of experience as a body expert and intuitive. I'll let her introduce herself more, but I am so blessed to introduce you all to Diane Sussman. Welcome, Diane. Thank you for being
Oh,
here.
yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've been following you and following your career as an intuitive healer for probably as long as you embarked on this. And I just have so much love and respect for your actual courage to walk in to what you know to be yourself as as a soul being, and that is basically the kind of transformational life coaching that ideally I'm going to be able to do with other people. So you're a model for me.
Oh,
You are living your dharma, and that is really powerful.
you're already making me cry, and we're a minute in. Thank you so much. That is so sweet. I feel you've been a model to me. I mean, you introduced me to the concept of meditation, yoga, Pilates, even just for those of you who don't know, which of course, why would you know? When I took a year off between high school and college, I was incredibly ill. And my mom, who had met Diane, I think through the local Y, right? The Summit YMCA,
Exactly. Yeah.
um, she had you come over to the house once a week and you put out this table, it was like a massage table, and you would just talk to me about movement and do hands-on healing. And I never felt such compassion, such a softness, such a spaciousness. And one thing that I still remember to this day, and I don't know if you'll remember this, but you had encouraged me to get bridal magazines and to look through at photos of wedding dresses and imagine myself as a bride. And you somehow intuitively picked up on that wound within me that I feared I would never have that true love, that I would never get to have that wedding. And I did. And I got bridal magazines from Barnes and Noble, and I felt very like sleuthy and secretive, in my bathroom flipping through, just dreaming up one day having that love. And I think that was an opening for me of like, wow, someone can sense something from the intelligence of my body or just my energy without me having to use my words to say it. And so you really were a catalyst for me and even belief in the intuitive and energetic realms. And I'm so grateful for that. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I mean, it's actually a definition of what energy healing is, because we're not coming to it from our own ego self. We are, as healers, and this is whether you do channeling or intuitive healing. However, the beauty and the force of the universe comes through you. It is your authentic voice, and it is, it's just there. It's what comes natural to all of us. And I find that even for myself, actually, the intellect can take over and just slam through and override everything else. Then it's
Yeah.
like all the magic is gone because we're second guessing ourselves. We're looking for perfection before we actually even begin something. And that's why I wanted to really praise you for diving in so deeply to your life's path, your soul's work. Because it's you, it's who you are. You don't have to learn it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to become it. You are it. And that's a doorway. So, one of the things that I've been shifting with in the last few years is actually going back to something I call doorways to the self. And you may remember, Jillian, that when I was living in New York City, I was actually doing these once a month 4-hour workshops. They were movement-based workshops, but they were also journeying and probably like shamanic
Yeah.
journeying. Although I didn't know it at the time that that's what I was doing, but I was taking people into these kind of gardens of experience and opening different aspects of the self. To that, and I came back to this a year and a
Yes.
half ago. I was the host of a summit, and I called it Doorways to the Self because I was remembering that time that was just so playful and creative and experiential for people to not need to know anything about what they wanted to accomplish, but to just explore, to be. And it really was so rich for me because it brought me back to an idea. Every time we create, we're really starting with a spark, with an idea. And it sometimes takes a long path and a long road to manifest that, but not always. So
Yeah.
that's really kind of the core. It's like, what is the self? What is that core essence that's not about all the different roles or sub-personalities that we have, or little bits of what I call the ego self, but like I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a stepmother, those kind of things. And finding more about, exploring more really about the mythic self, and
Yes.
diving, deeply into that. Really, that to me, that is the essence of what the coaching experience is, and really the intuitive experiences as well. But maybe you could speak to that a little bit more
Yeah,
because
absolutely. I
yeah.
mean, that was so brilliantly articulated, and I'm curious just to poke a little bit back. When you invite individuals into this type of experience, especially with embodied movement, do you find it takes them some time to let down those masks and those guards and that egoic self? Or what have you found is the best entry to really getting to the core of the authentic self?
Hmm. Well, tools are good,
Sure.
really practical tools and practices. So I call that inner and outer energy management. And I actually learned those processes from the coach that I did my very first coach training. It was called Coaching from Spirit, with this beautiful woman. And I believe she's still coaching people. But there are actual templates and tools that we can. It's really a form of journaling, but with these templates that can guide you. And then at the same time, you brought up meditation practice in the very beginning. There's also that deep dive because we can do kind of practical movements towards learning more about ourselves, but we also can just stop,
Yes.
come from within and trust that there's a process that's going on that's connecting through the heart to a greater field. It's a greater field of being. And we have so many teachings and teachers, ancient teachings, even Buddhist teachings, Taoist teachings, Christian teachings, Jewish teachings. I've been very involved with Kabbalah for the last 2 years. I do have a mentor right now taking us through what she calls the gate of unity. And it's Shar HaYikud, but it's like this beautiful exploration of the tree of life
Mm,
and how God and spirit come down, really manifest in the world through us. And it's one thing that I'll say about that, it's always through the body. And that's where I come up with, soul embodiment practices because it's like always the body on some level is higher than the soul. And you
mm.
go, what? Really? The
Wow.
soul is the highest. No, because the embodiment,
Chills, Diane, full body chills. Yes.
spirit wants that for us to be able to be an expression of God's purpose. Now, I use the word God, completely. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
But if
Boldly
that
and
word,
proudly. Yes.
yeah, oh, I hold that proudly. But there's other exchangeable words like source and even love. Love with a capital L is another way of expressing that same energy. So you don't want to get bogged down with, wait a minute, there is no God, like those kind of um,
Pitfalls. Yeah.
those are pitfalls. And, I'm just kind of remembering, like in my own story and my own experience that I I had some I guess you would call them brushes with death. I
Mm.
had another recent one only
Oh
about
no.
months ago. But the earliest connection that I made with the soul, we're spiritual beings, and the soul comes down into the precious body that is our vehicle for a time, and then is released back into soul again with knowledge, with intelligence, with memory. So we can do deep dive work, psychological work, spiritual work to learn about ourselves. Really what I'm suggesting is that we're remembering our own past life experiences so that we can build on them in this life being the most important life because it's here,
'Cause it's
this is
now. Yeah.
it's now, like opening into the soul's presence is, I think it's like the big journey, right? The big question. And it starts with, what do I want?
Mm.
It starts with, who am I? What do I want most in life? What gives me joy? What gives me pleasure?
Yes.
And they sound like superficial questions in a way, but that is the connection to self. That is the soul essence connection. That is bigger than we even know. And it's a movement into the unknown. Because the unknown is scary. It's frightening. It takes a lot of courage to really investigate. It can be in even little things. I'll use the example of something that happened to me just this morning. My car has been in the shop, and I went to get my car. It's a manual. I had to get the clutch changed. And right before, like the day of our vacation to France, I went to pick up my car and I couldn't drive it. Like I've been driving manuals for my entire life. It just kept stalling out. I'm like,
Oh.
something's wrong with this car. I refuse to take this car. So we left the car and, the mechanics, of course, is like, I don't know, little lady, like, you gotta learn how to drive all over again. So I was so anxious this morning
Mm.
going to pick up my car because they basically said there's nothing wrong with it. So all the way there, I was working on myself energetically to ground myself, to expand my energy, my light, to let it like one step in front of the other to let it be okay. It seems like such a small example, but I really needed to do something to not be in this high nervous system charged state this morning. And I got there and I asked for a gentleman, one of the mechanics, to just like take me out on the road to learn to drive again. And
Yeah,
he did. He did.
good.
He took me in these little back streets. And, I only stalled out like the very first time. And then he's like, oh, it's just, it's lower. The clutch moment where you engage the clutch is not as high because your clutch was basically going. So once I really got that new information, I could practice it and work on it. And then guess what? I got in the car and drove home. No big deal. Like, oh,
Amen. Amen.
amen, amen for that. But it's sometimes the little things that are going to, really stick. Like, have us stop in our tracks and not be able to move forward.
Absolutely. And it's those little moments make up a life. So it might seem little, but it's big. Everything is now, it's here. And it's funny you mentioned that experience with your car. I must have been feeling you yesterday because I had an experience with my car. I have a push button start car, which I've only had for a handful of months, so it's new. And the
Mhm,
car just started rolling backwards as if it was in neutral. But I thought it was in park. I kind of panicked and I completely had an elevated nervous system moment thinking I was going to run into another car. And it just hadn't started properly. And I just turned it off and I turned it back on and all was fine. But in those moments where we're feeling elevated, and we might be able to tell ourselves, well, I know in the grand scheme of things, this is just me going to pick up my car. This is just fill in the blank. But those
mhm,
micro moments woven together, that's the tapestry of our whole life. So having the
mhm.
tools to work on yourself in real time, when you
Right.
sense an activation, that's the practice. And that
Yeah.
enables us to continue to be more and more embodied. I was so
Mhm,
struck by you mentioning where I got the chills. I wanted to pause you and just put it in bold
mhm,
exclamation that the body almost being sort of higher, more potent, or I wish I had your exact words, but you guys can go and rewind, than the
mhm.
soul.
Yeah.
And I'd love if you could speak on that a little bit more in terms of just the preciousness of the human vessel, because I think so many people who listen to this podcast consider themselves spiritual beings and might sometimes neglect the body,
Mhm,
thinking that they're pursuing soul when
mhm,
they're actually really abandoning self. So I'd just love to
mhm.
hear a little bit more about either what you
Yeah.
do specifically to I don't want to say worship the body but allow God to move through the body to
Mhm,
express that
mhm,
gorgeous authenticity within our beings.
mhm. Well, you've just expressed it so beautifully yourself just now. Thank you. Um, I'm on a mission, I think, to understand what is embodiment.
Mm,
Because this is the soul in the body. And let me just share a little story
please.
about something that happened to me. I said 9 months ago, I fell into a very serious illness. I was probably experiencing that illness for many years and did not
Mm.
know it. But I ended up having quadruple bypass surgery.
Diane.
Yeah, you did. I
Wow.
probably didn't let
I did
anybody.
not know that. Oh my
It
goodness.
was urgent. And I have well, actually, let me take a step backwards. I got into healing work because I had an autoimmune disease that I've had since I was a young child. And I knew my knowing was that I needed not to do the Western practices, to start taking, they were things like prednisone and, inflammation reducing medicines. This is all they had, back when I was first diagnosed back in the mid 80s. And I had already been doing some very serious meditation practice through Tibetan Buddhism. And so I was not unfamiliar with the potential of doing my own healing work by going within and in meditation practices, in the Tibetan practices as well, to be able to have some tools available to me to start to heal myself. I really believed that I could heal myself. And I did find a healer that I worked with for about 6 years in New York City. He's still out there doing amazing work. And I learned so much from him about how to really listen to we do our healing work because we're listening,
Mm.
because we're going within. And yet it's the body that needs to be healed. We have, 70 trillion cells in the body that, I mean, it's so exponential what the science is regarding how we can impact our cellular structures with the mind. So my teacher called it mental healing back then, that it's more comprehensive than energy healing. I always call myself an energy healer. I love energy. I love the hands-on work, the ability to feel auric changes, to read and see and get an image. Like that is it's just so full and beautiful of how to help and assist both myself but other people when I do hands-on healing with them to really come to that place of regeneration because that's where we are. But the regeneration is in the body. And so when we, as you said, we want to be spiritual, we literally pull ourselves out of the body and identify as spiritual beings. Beautiful. We are spiritual beings. But the embodiment itself is the practice of coming home.
Mm.
And so the self-care that we do, the nurturing that we can do for ourselves is really about love. It's really about the time it takes to get very, very present and very, very real with what's actually happening. So for me, in that experience of urgent artery change. I mean, thank God I had an amazing surgeon, but I didn't even realize it was happening. And this is a genetic issue now, because I know that I've had a very good diet, I've done all the right things. Let's just say that. I've done all the right things to keep myself in very good health and cared a lot about all of those mind-body things. But I still needed quadruple bypass surgery. My arteries were blocked. That's atherosclerosis is what it's called. But I actually, ha I'm going to say had to do, but had the privilege
Mm.
of healing my ancestry.
Mm.
There's like many, especially men, not many women, but many men in my lineage died of heart conditions in their 50s and 60s. And it came to me to do that healing work. So, I had the opportunity to do some healing work with my lineage. But this is a story that I wanted to specifically tell you, having a little throat here. What I wanted to specifically say about the separation between the soul and the body. After my surgery,
I'm gonna pause you for 1 second while Bubbles is losing it. What is going on? Wow, there's somebody that pulled up, but I guess the energy around around this narrative is is
Yeah, maybe
gold.
that's part of it.
Yeah, so would you mind backtracking just a couple
Yeah,
sentences for
so
us? Yes.
of course. So the story that I wanted to share with you and with our audience today is after my surgery, they, wheel you into ICU and expect you to go into the regular hospital rooms within a day. I did not take a day. Things started happening in my lungs. My
Mm.
lungs were filling with fluid. It was probably the actual closest to death that I got in this whole experience. But my own inner experience was that I couldn't feel my soul.
Oh,
And it was like looking at a blank, like literally looking at a blank slate. And I felt very connected to the body, but I couldn't feel my soul. And it's like the image that comes up to me next. I've been actually working through this energetically now, almost done with it, but for many, many months. When you're outside in a beautiful afternoon and it's like sundown and you see your shadow extended way, 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 way out, like 12 feet, 15 feet out away. That was my experience. It was like I'm watching my soul, it's way out there. I'm the body. It's like a blank slate.
wow.
And it was such an odd experience because I had never, since I was a little child, never had the experience of being that separated
Mm.
from my soul. Actually, the opposite. I feel like I have the gift of being so connected to the
Yeah.
soul that I was able to just, process and continue and learn and grow from the life experiences that I had had. Not so easy, that's the thing with life too. Some not so easy at all, but that separation was never there.
Was that scary?
And
Did that induce?
it's like I had to reel it in. And even when I came home, I wasn't back.
Wow.
Like my soul was gone, was not gone. It was just like not back.
Wow.
And I was able to speak with a friend, a spiritual friend, about 2 months into my recovery. And I shared this with him. And he gave me such kind solace
Mm.
and basically said the anesthesia and what happened during the operation, they put I was on a heart lung machine,
Mm.
was so like disembodied that it actually took me months to come back home.
Wow.
And I could feel it coming back. My husband is interesting. He's a neurologist, and he was like, "Oh my, she lost cognition."
Sure.
Like
Sure.
he was convinced, right? He was convinced that I had lost basically my intelligence, I guess. But I knew that was not the case. It was a much deeper soul fragment,
Yeah.
soul fragment story. So I believe that we don't go through things without a reason. And I needed to go to the next level of understanding embodiment.
Mm.
That I was already at a level, but I needed to go deeper
Wow.
to know the value of what we are here to do, to be, to become. And
Wow.
I can go back into my transformational life coaching and say, well, these are the things I believe. I want to guide and teach and help.
What's going on with Bubble? I'm so sorry. This has never happened before.
Oh, animals are so
Yeah.
intuitive.
He
And they
feels
also
the,
see spirits, right?
yes, he's
And-
seeing things, feeling things, and even just the the feelings that I'm feeling hearing your story, right? You're in an integrated place sharing it, but I'm feeling like, oh my God, was that horrifying to feel dissociated in my Diane? And oh, and I think he's feeling that too. So
Oh,
apologies
thank
to our
you.
listeners.
Thank you
Please
for.
continue. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm going to take a moment to
Yeah.
pause and just take in your love.
Yes,
It's like it,
please.
sharing that story, it was a hard place. It was a hard place to move through. And I felt um, moment by moment by moment to
Yeah.
stay with it. So this is really getting back to the question that you're asking about the self and why the self is so powerful on a soul level that the body is on is it is such it's it's a it is it is that which we have come here to learn to love,
Yes.
you know, to
Yes.
love deeply so we don't create separation. It's like illness is a creation of separation.
Yes. And
Healing is a creation of integration and unification again with our whole being. And let me just say that doing this in community
mm,
is even more powerful. Like we're a community of two today, is we're opening to these energies and allowing ourselves to be bathed in them.
mm,
And these
delicious.
energies are always, always energetic. They're expansive. They are filled with color and filled with bounty and beauty and magic, right? So Course in Miracles says that
Yes.
a miracle is a shift in perception. That's where I feel like if I was able to hold what the lesson has been of that separation that I experienced, it's that um, God, source, is as close as our next breath.
Mm,
It's it's close to us, and it's that's something that we speak to at this time of year. Actually, the beginning of the new year is is our connection to God, and that we are not separate from God. And I mean, it's a blessing. Every day is a blessing. Every breath is a blessing.
yes. And I'm so glad to hear of your recovery, both physically and then also energetically, recreating that union with soul. And I was picturing, as you were describing the long shadow, Peter Pan, I'm thinking the Broadway musical when the shadow won't stick and it keeps like falling off and trying to either like sew it on or use soap or whatever. And it's like
It's
this,
perfect.
yeah, this
Yeah.
beautiful image. And I can't even fathom, and my throat is constricting as I say it, just what that must have felt like to be so in the body and feel so separate from the soul in a way that's so unnatural to your life's knowing and what you've had before. And then now to be on the other side or continuing that integration, the empathy and understanding you must have for those who feel dissociation to a much lesser degree, right? That's probably the most extreme form of dissociation one can fathom. But I think of people I know, even family members who maybe work a job they hate, don't listen to their bodies, forget to hydrate, whatever the degree of dissociation that they experience and the unhappiness that comes with that. I think what I love about the dance community, and maybe you found the same, although of course there are unhappy people everywhere, I have found that those who are intimately connected to their bodies and really love for and care for their bodies seem to be the most authentic and often joyous people that I know. And so there really is something to safeguarding our vessels and continuing to show up in intimacy, treating our bodies as sacred and not just machines. like we're
Hmm.
robots that have to do something to get through the world. So I'm just so grateful for your
Hmm.
healing journey. And I'm sure that experience is going to catapult a new level of healing that you can embark on, ways that you can show up, a new understanding that perhaps you had before, but is so much more crystallized now, having such a dramatic healing
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah, it was really a healing crisis. And it's reminding me, by the way, that remember our entire planet went through a crisis with
True.
COVID. And I know that when I stopped, I mean, literally hard stop, like all of us,
Hmm.
and just sat there on my couch for those first few months. I actually had just started my YouTube channel like 2 weeks before that. And
No
I was so
way.
convinced that we were all going to be back to work in 2 weeks. And so I was going to come on live every day for these 2 weeks to give
Sure.
support, and I'm like, oh, I guess the joke was on me.
Joke was on all of us. So many people had the same story of, yeah, I'll be back to work in a week and a half, 2 weeks, no big deal. So, yeah, turn the world really on its head.
It did so much. But what I wanted to share about that was that I didn't know how fatigued I was
Mm.
until that happened. It was like such a deep level of exhaustion and fatigue that I'd been like a doer, a runner, what day is today? Oh, I'm going here. What day is today? I'm going there. It was like hard stop to just be. And something that happened in our home, um, I sheltered in place with my husband. We have a roof deck, and all these birds started building nests that spring.
Wow.
We live very close to Fairmont Park, but it's city, like I wouldn't say I live in a park.
Sure.
But because there were no cars, there was no driving.
Uh,
Like the birds started migrating over into, our yards.
wow.
And for, I would say, a couple of years, the birds were just building their nests in our yard. So it was a real coming home to the self, coming home to the beingness that I had not allowed in, that nurturing that I had not allowed for myself it was a really deep healing time, I have to say.
Yeah,
I believe it was a healing time for all of us, even though, it was scary and, livelihoods were at stake and businesses went under and, a lot of things changed during that time.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, so and then felt like another like I'm so glad that I had that experience because I needed such a deep level healing for this physical crisis. And saying just one more thing about it, feeling the presence of angels,
Yes.
calling in the angel of light. I would call in the angel of light from my left foot and the angel of healing from my right foot every night
Mm.
as I lay there trying to get to sleep because I couldn't like sleep on my side yet.
Oh, yeah.
And oh my gosh, like I really felt that they got me through this, and all the prayers. I had so many prayers, so many people praying for me, and not to take that lightly at all. When we have friends or know people, I know someone right now whose son was in a car accident and she is asking for prayers from everyone. And it's like, I barely knew her. She was a mentor of mine briefly, a very wonderful, joyous person who really like believed, saw the law of attraction in action,
Yeah.
right? Like look and intend for what you want in life. And she's asking for it now. And every day her son is healing, is getting better, is showing signs of recovery. But it feels like an entire community coming together to bring healing to him.
Power of prayer cannot emphasize that enough. So I'm so glad you're mentioning that because it truly is extraordinary how prayer can move healing energy. And also so glad you're bringing in the angelic realm and
Mhm.
also hearkening back to A Course in Miracles. Just want to, put that in bold and exclamation. If any of you have not read that or studied that, it is vast and it's a lot to get through, and it can be very helpful to go through with community as well or with mentorship. But just wanted to put those in bold again or underline energetically. But yes, I mean, what a triumphant. I want to say it's triumphant for the angels too, like for all of us to be able to really notice how prayer heals and love heals and the boldness in requesting prayer and asking for prayer and then a community coming together in love to support someone. And I'm glad you had that support as well. I'm so sorry I didn't know it was going on. I'm
Mm.
sending retroactive prayer and healing energy to the
Thank you.
version of
Thank
you. Yes, like sweet Diane's soul, please go back to her body. Hurry, hurry. And like,
you.
I love you and healing the scars. But yes,
Um,
it takes such vulnerability to share a story like that. So thank
mm,
you for that bravery and honesty.
yeah.
That's just so powerful, and I'm so glad that you're where you are now.
Thank you. And I just want to make a plug for
Yes.
our future selves because
Ooh,
you reminded me, you made that connection for me just now when you said retroactively to
right.
go back, because that future self that I am right now, with a healed vision of my life, is what I'm riding on now. I feel that flow. And the the gift that is for all of us to be able to connect in with a future self and create, really bring our creativity to that place. That is a missing piece, I feel, in our, let's just say, our lives in general. But that to me is a big part of what coaching is, what transformational coaching is. It's like you're creating these, big bold goals for yourself, but there's some through line that we need to have, whether it's working with someone like you as an intuitive channel, or mentorship in general, or coaching in general, or healing in general. That through line is what brings forth the courage to actually take just that first step, you know, and uh, the big goal only happens because you've taken action through the first step, and
Yes.
then the second step, and then a new idea comes, and a way of expressing, and like before you know it, the whole puzzle is being filled in, and the way through.
Yes, that's such a beautiful reminder for me too. I used to feel my future self reaching her hand out back to me and really shepherding me and guiding me through my healing journey. And then I felt a degree of arrival, like, oh, well, here I am. And so
Mhm.
I didn't really connect to my future self as much because I felt so locked into the here and now and like, okay, in almost a little bit of a heightened hubris state, perhaps, of like, here I am, I've arrived, I'm doing my purpose, la di da. And now, as I'm in a bit of a transitional season, such a great reminder for me, and certainly for all of us listeners, to tap into the wisdom of that future self and that through line. What a beautiful articulation of that. It is really about, yeah, that next right step, that one next choice point. Uh, so
Hmm.
thank you for that. Shout out to our
Hmm.
future selves. Like, hi,
Future selves.
we love
And
you.
also energetically, there has been a lot of teaching, and I'm receiving those teachings on the divine feminine also. And, what is the divine feminine in our lives? How can we draw her in? Is she priestess? Is she queen? Who is she? And allow yourself to in, enjoy the luxury
Mm,
of, say, the divine feminine queen energy. That is a tool, a practical way of really practicing uh, self-love, you know, um, drawing on our inner wisdom to guide us to be our own inner coach. That's I identify a lot with the priestess, which is the wisdom guide, and how to bring her. It's like connection not only to our future self, but to our higher self,
yes.
right? To that frequency that we want to like draw
Draw
down.
in. Yes.
Yeah, draw in, draw down
Yes.
to let that, swirl. So we don't have to do it all alone,
True.
right?
Yes. And thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that.
I actually believe that depression is connected with feeling alone. To feel
Absolutely.
like we have to do it alone or be it alone. It's really challenging when someone is in that space of feeling like I'm not able to receive support
Yeah.
and how to there's a bridge somehow that, or a through line that needs to be, or the dots, like following,
The yellow
following
brick road.
breadcrumb trail. There are a lot of metaphors and images for how to move to that next place. But that to me is really what life coaching is, and what intuitive readings are
Yeah.
about, is giving you support for, what is the next step for me.
Absolutely. And just to harken back to depression for a moment as loneliness, I would speak for myself in the seasons where I was super depressed. Not only did I feel alone as a human being, lacking connection, but I also felt separate from God or abandoned
Mhm.
by all that is. So the loneliness can get quite existential, where it's not just, I don't have friends, I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have this or that. It's can also be, I feel so utterly alone in this world. And I don't feel my angels. I don't even feel my higher self. I don't feel that there are spiritual energies right here in my breath, in my steps. So just a loving encouragement to anyone who might be listening who's feeling the weight of depression. It's amazing what can happen when you just connect to one bright light,
Mhm.
and a candle that lights another. I'm thinking of a match that lights a flame or a candle. I'm losing my my words, but
Mhm.
the flame that lights the other doesn't go out. It doesn't get extinguished. It just passes on more light, and that is the
Mhm.
very nature of light. So, yeah, just also encouragement for anyone who might really feel utterly alone or depressed, downtrodden, defeated to see where you can find just one little spark to reach out to one other person. It can make all the difference in the world.
So, so well said. And it also connects back to the body. Because sometimes depression is physical depression. We
Yes.
are compressed, we are pulled down in ourselves. And to find ways of enlightening our being, that can come through the body too. I mean, this harkens to my work as an Alexander technique teacher, but we're really, we are very much about coming fully present to, the whole body mind unity. And allow for, sometimes it requires re-education. Sometimes it requires, it's like, how did I get here? I'm just a bundle of nerves, I'm a bundle of tension. How did I get here? And you kind of slowly unwind that. So the hands-on work as an Alexander student can really be very helpful, or whatever modality, could be Reiki or Feldenkrais or dance. We really touched on dance and movement. Um, all of those things are are very, very practical tools. Bringing your energy back online, right? Bringing your
Yes.
breath more full, bringing oxygenating the system, and giving you a means to have more enthusiasm.
Yes. And for those who don't know what the Alexander technique is, would you mind just briefly articulate? I know it's hard to summarize something so somatic, but I'm sure if someone can do it, it's you. Would you mind
Yeah,
briefly describing to our audience what that entails?
right, right. Well, it is a technique. It is something that is learned. It's a skill that we can learn to become more aware of how we're holding tension in our bodies and to release it so that we can really feel what it's actually a remembering, because little children, we as little children, danced and skipped and played and really had a lot of freedom in the body. And it's a body, it's not just the body, it's the whole being, body, mind, being, or body being. So
Yeah.
we get to come back into that dynamic balance and openness and buoyancy. Really, it's a lightening up, it's a freeing up of that which, has been pulling us down.
Yes. The first time you ever introduced me to the Alexander technique, I was in the basement of my mom's house in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I remember guiding your hands, just having me, I think, like sit up and then stand up and sit back down. And I had never felt like, oh, I can do it like this. Like I felt this just a massive wave of relief, a lightness that I didn't know until how much constriction and contraction and tension I was harboring in
Mhm.
my joints, in my muscles, in my whole body, just how clenched I was. And so I've only had a few experiences with Alexander Technique, but they were wildly profound.
Uh,
So a plug for that as well.
Yeah, it is foundational work. How you do everything, right? It's how you are with yourself as you do all of your activities. I particularly have been inspired by working with musicians. That has been kind of a subspecialty of mine. But I also, I'm an amateur pianist and I'm back playing the piano again.
Yes, yes.
And using the Alexander technique for that. So yeah.
Brilliant. If our audience would like to connect with you further, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you, reach out to you? What are you currently offering? Would love for you to just share sort of what the latest and greatest is with Diane. If there are those who are captivated and compelled and want to learn more about how you might be able to support them in their
Mhm.
lives.
Well, thank you. There are a few ways. If you're interested in transformational life coaching, I generally start with a 6 week package, and we work once a week for an hour. And I can be reached through my website called doorwaystotheself.com. And there's actually one of the buttons that you can click that takes you to my calendar. So we start with just, a get to know you kind of experience, or a clarity breakthrough session is what I call it. And I would love to do that. So if anybody, wishes for that. And The other way is to, we're living in a Zoom world. So I can
Yes.
actually give Alexander technique lessons on Zoom if you don't happen to live in Philadelphia. So I can also be found same place, just
Beautiful. And I will have all that info in the description below
okay.
so you guys can check that out. Before
Yeah.
we wrap up for today, Diane, I wanted to just give you the opportunity, just sort of passing the mic without any question or prompting. And if you want to take a couple of moments, a couple of breaths to see if there's just anything that's coming through for you that you feel like you want to share or offer, um, no topic in mind, just whatever's
Yeah.
on your heart. If there's anything else
Yeah.
you'd like to share before we wrap up for today.
Okay. So allow yourself to stop,
Mm,
to sit comfortably somewhere or lie down with a few books under your head and really give time to yourself at least once a day. That can be first thing in the morning to just close your eyes and, take 5 minutes and follow your breathing. Know that you're worth it.
mm,
Know that you are a divine child of God, and whatever your heart's desire, you can open to that heart's desire in the silence of your own breath and heartbeat.
mm,
Um,
mm,
if you've been struggling, if you've been doubting yourself, if you've been feeling all those feelings of not ready, know that that's not who you really are. And you can design the life and the work of your dreams. You just follow your dreams, follow your heart.
mm. I'm covered in full body chills. That felt just so delicious to receive. And yes, you heard her correctly. That's books under your head. That's for proper alignment. But I could feel a few of you going, books. Wait, I felt like a pillow. So no, that was books. That's correct. What a beautiful blessing to conclude us on, Diane. Thank you so, so much from the deepest part of my being. I adore you. I am endlessly grateful for your support, for your love, for your encouragement. Um,
Mhm.
you've just been such a guiding light for me. And it's such a privilege all these years later to connect to you in this capacity where I'm not feeling helpless and broken and so needing, but now able to speak the lingo you were speaking and to understand it. And yeah, I just feel immensely grateful for your presence on this earth. So thank you so much.
Oh, I feel this with you too.
So much
Mm.
love. All right, we'll talk with you next time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to It's Time with Jillian Melissa. If you're feeling like it's time to try a new recipe, time to get off social media, time to fall in love again, or even time to submit to God's timing, it probably is. If you'd like to stay connected, I invite you to check out my Patreon community, patreon.com/Jillian Melissa Intuition, or you can email me at info@JillianMelissaIntuition.com. I would love to connect. I hope this episode was nourishing, and until next time, I love you.